Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Ben Blanquera with Rackspace Technology, the leading pure-play multi-cloud solutions company in the world. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Billy Odera, Chief Data Officer at Jubilee Insurance. Did I pronounce that correctly, Billy?
Yes, Ben. Thank you.
Good. So, the world of the CDO sometimes is a great skill is to be a storyteller. And be able to tell some stories about how you do things, because that's what people remember. Can you share some stories how your team has created value for Jubilee?
Yeah. So actually, it's interesting, and for me, if I look at, for example, the statistic that was shared about the tenure of the CDOs, I think the one thing which we struggle largely as data leaders is demonstration of value. And what you find is the majority of us report to traditional COOs or CFOs who like to view value in terms of cost cutting or revenue generation. So
that's it.
And you find a lot of your data initiatives that you're going to do, you're not going to do it alone. So you probably will build this model, and then you'll go and look at the finance department and ask them to use the model for them to be able to drive business growth. You'll probably harmonize your reporting and then, create efficiency so that these guys don't now focus on looking for the data and building reports, but rather focus on what they should do best. So if you look at that, then it becomes a bit of a challenge on how do you measure value? How do you measure data as an asset? So for me, I think in Jubilee, what I've tried to do is actually to demonstrate value in what I can call 4 fronts. Okay, so more or less protecting our bottom line. So what I then do is actually to ensure that, I have fraud models that are then able to flag fraudulent activities. Actually, for your information, insurance companies lose 20 to 30% of their budget through fraudulent claims. Because the way insurance works is we generate revenue through premiums. For example, in our health insurance, those premiums we pay to providers and then probably target a margin of 5 to 7%. So one of the things that I've done is actually to ensure that we have accurate predictive fraud models that you can then be able to pay claims that are actually legitimate. Okay. And the second aspect has largely been around customer experience. So when you look at NPS, so for me, it's how then do I improve NPS so that I decrease the time it takes to solve tickets. That then in itself can then lead to increase in retention, because if you have poor service, what happens is then your customers tend to churn, and insurance is very notorious for undercutting. So if you're not very careful, you find yourself that you've lost your customers, and it's just a matter of time before you realize. So then improving our NPS is one of the pillars that I track in terms of value. The other aspect is just around efficiency and productivity. So time to insights, how do I create these behavioral data points? So I then have machine learning models that are then able to crunch customer behavior that then helps the business teams to be able to make decisions faster. And as they make the decision faster, it's also allows them to prescribe what is happening. So you find largely what has been happening in the business is focused more on descriptive analytics. And, I compare that to, when you are driving your car and you drive your car using your rear view mirror. So descriptive analytics focuses on what happened. So if you drive your car using the rear view mirror, there's actually a reason why your windscreen is larger than the rear view mirror. So then how then do we transition, instead of looking for driving your business through descriptive, to go more predictive and prescriptive. So that's how I've been able to demonstrate value within the business.
Got it. Well, that's very succinct, right? Very clear focus, and as a data person, you've got to have the data, so protect the bottom line, reduce fraud, customer experience, improve NPS, and then improve efficiency and move from descriptive to prescriptive and predict and predictive sort of analytics, so you can get ahead of the curve. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you have done a fabulous job of creating a language and folks can understand what it is that you do. So I imagine you get a lot of work, a lot of calls. Hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do this?
Yes.
What about this?
Yes.
So how do you go about identifying and prioritizing areas to focus your team on? I can't imagine you have unlimited resources.
Yeah. Of course, always the challenge is always about resourcing. And the interesting bit is when you sit at the group level, when you roll out one analytical solution to a business entity, then the rest of the entities come and demand for the same, and even demand more. So it's always a difficult challenge to prioritize. But what I've tried to do with my team is identify gaps across the group. And these gaps, I've identified them in terms of three pillars. So gaps around reporting, gaps around governance, and then gaps around architecture. Then what I did is to create, a detailed integrated roadmap of how those gaps are going to be closed. So once I then did that, is I overlaid that with our strategy, our business strategy. So for me, I believe that, your data strategy, I'll rather call it the way you swim with the sharks. So, the business strategy is the shark, and then you are that small fish at the data strategy just moving with the shark. So you don't go to a different direction to where the business is. So what I did is identify 5 key strategic areas and the business shift. Then from the gaps that I then got in my analysis, I identified what I usually like to call immediate wins, Then I created a steering committee. So in this steering committee, we then looked at these gaps and what are the high priority use case that we can then roll out to then get the immediate wins. I usually don't like to use the word quick wins because people tend to think that it's very easy to implement. So I prefer to use the quick wins. So once that is done, we align. Then we pilot the use case. Once the use case we're able to demonstrate value, then we quickly port it to the other business entities, and then the cycle keeps on. We keep on iterating. But one of the things which I've also made sure that I highlight to the business is the fact that create that culture, that experimentation culture where people are not scared to fail, because I've realized that at times you run experiments and they're not successful. So if you don't create an environment where people can try and fail, so then you find you take so much time in able to roll out solution because you want to roll out the perfect solution. So that's how I've gone about it, and that's how I've tried to strike a balance between delivering the immediate wins, but also staying close to the business strategy, where what I was saying, swim with the shark, so that we go in the same direction.
Got it. I'm gonna swim the shark.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna remember. Around it. Well, it sounds. I mean, it sounds like you were very sort of proactive in saying, what is my corporate strategy? How do I? And then I'm bringing to that my gap analysis regarding capabilities and things like that. And then asking yourself to make the business strategy go faster. Which are the leverage points, and then you've got a process that said, let's try it, pilot it, and within the context of it's not going to be perfect because you have experimentation. But once you get it, then it's like roll it out.
Exactly.
Let's scale it across the enterprise.
Exactly.
That's what am I getting the playbook correctly here, Billy?
Exactly. That's the playbook. That's the playbook.
I feel shameless with you. Well, Billy, thanks for your time. It's been fabulous getting to know you and hearing your story. Thank you for joining me. Folks, please visit CDO Magazine Tech for additional interviews.
Thank you so much, Ben. It's been a pleasure and looking forward to our interactions. Thanks a lot.
Looking forward to it. Take care, Billy.